Well, howdy, folks. It's Richard the Fishing Machine here. You know, some of the best crappie fishing that I've ever done has been from the bank, and it's been fishing rip-rap situations. Rip-rap, rocks along the road just before you go over a bridge. And let me add this. Some of the best and most productive rip-rap areas is going to be on the lower end. Why? Well, because the water is generally shallower, which means it's suited for crappie to bed. Now, the reason why these areas are so productive is crappie will actually lay eggs in between big boulders that's off in the water a little bit farther than the actual riprap that's rolled over into the water is what I'm saying. So if you can imagine a big rock here in 4 feet of water or 3 feet of water and one here, in this area here in between them is going to be a void. That's the areas that I'm talking about crappie will lay eggs. And I'm going to tell you, it's a perfect situation because those rocks will warm up the quickest, especially if they're on the north side of the riprap. That's where I target crappie this time of the year, oftentimes catching the fire out of it. Let's go do it. Whoa. Let's go do it. Okay, folks, let's talk about one more time, because I get a lot of questions about this. A good bank setup. Now, a lot of times I have to use a spinning reel and a float when I'm fishing from the bank. And sometimes I'll just cast. But that's when the fish are out of reach. But when I know they're in reach, real tied up against, say, riprap or the bank in general, I'll use a rod like this because it's a 9'2" Sound Super Sensitive jig pole, real light in weight, and very, very, very flimsy, very flimsy. That enables you to use these little bitty jigs and light jig hooks. Okay, 1/64 of an ounce to 1/80th of an ounce. Now the loop knot is very, very important when fishing this way. When you're fishing from the bank and sort of fishing in a parallel type manner, the lighter the jig head, the better. Okay, you'll get more bites like that than say a 1/32 ounce even. Okay, it's just a fact, and that is one of the tricks to crappie fishing is to be able to keep your offering in front of that fish for a long period of time. That way, you got a crack at an inactive crappie or an active crappie. And that loop knot is just icing on the cake because it's so free right there on the eyelet that the plastic is going to raise it up to a 90-degree angle, and it'll look look at there, a real flowing natural look as you twitch your rod tip. And that's another thing a crappie can't take. Now I like, instead of a spinning reel, I'm using this TFO fly reel, and I have 4-pound test mono spooled on it. Not much of it either, just enough to get by it. The reason I like this TFO is because it's plastic, and it is feather light. It looks big and bulky, but it's not. Okay, it is extremely light. It's as light as one of those little bitty, what do they call them, Mr. Crappie reels that sort of look similar to it, but it's better. It's better because it has a bigger diameter spool and it'll take in line quicker, a lot quicker. And of course, it's a TFO fly reel. It'll last forever. It's very tough. But this setup right here is very light. And what's good about bank fishing like this, all you need is a few jigs in your pocket, a good light rod, and a good pair of shoes. And be careful on those rocks. It's a simple way to fish. You can cover a lot of water, and you can locate groups of crappie if you'll keep with it. Okay, just keep walking, keep fishing. You'd be surprised how many crappie you can catch like that. But this is 1 3/4 inch. I got that right. Slim stick. White Lightning is the name of the color, made by Bonehead Tackle and made in the USA. That's real important right there. Now, white and chartreuse is a great color. We'll just start off with that. We may change, but that's a great color for this color of water. Now, we'll put it on in here. Y'all can see that you can barely see it. Usually, the water, this water right here is very, very clear. In fact, last year, I could see the crappie come in behind the bait and grab it. And that is so special, but that's not going to happen today. The water's not muddy, but it's very stained from all this rain we've had. But that's fine. But I've noticed that the water is up. It's up a whole lot. So we'll just turn around here and pitch that jig in here. What I'm going to do is let it fall about 4 or 5 feet deep and just barely move it down through here sideways. That 1/64 of an ounce jig head is perfect for this because your presentation will stay in front of the fish for a long period of time. Longer period of time using a light jig head like I'm doing right here. And that is perfect when the water is stained like this. See, these fish are not used to stained water. They're used to very clear water. So this is a perfect situation right here with the light jig head. Okay, and I'm using high-vis mono line so I can see that strike. I usually always use high-vis mono when it comes to crappie fishing. Crappie, like I've said before, are definitely not line shy. If this water was gin clear, they wouldn't be line shy. There he is. Golly bum. That fish absolutely eat that up. I mean, absolutely eat it up, folks. That was a hard strike right there. That's a pretty good crappie. There ain't nothing wrong with that one. I guarantee y'all that. Let's get on down right here. Man, that fish hit that bait. Let's bring this crappie in here. Quit. That's not a bad fish at all, is he? It's a beautiful fish. Now that's a male. He's not peeing yet. Now watch this right here. I want to show y'all something. See, I'm mashing his belly right here. He's not peeing. The reason why is this is an early and very early fish. He's coming in here to spawn, to find an area to spawn. But he's not yet developed. Let's let him go. That's a good fish right there. It just ain't quite time for that fish right there to spawn. And now this is the time right now that you can catch some really big crappie, folks. I mean some big ones. If you're just now starting to crappie fish, let me make this very, very clear. It don't matter what time of the year. When it comes to a jig, fishing with a jig, folks, it takes very little action to get the strike. Very little action. You can overwork a jig and cause these crappie not to bite. Absolutely. And that fish right there that I just caught, folks, was pretty tight to the bank, which is not surprising because the water is high. There's another one. Golly, this is a mule right here. This is an absolute mule crappie right here. Golly. Folks, this is a giant. This is a giant fish right here. Golly. I mean, this is a mule. I'm talking about. I'm just going to take my time, fight him down. Look here, what a crappie. We're talking about a giant fish right here. Look here, he's going to come up right there. Look at there. That's more than a slab right there. Okay, so let's get right here. Man, that's a big fish. That's what we're talking about right here. Big, giant crappie. I'm going to get down here with him because I don't want to lose him. Golly. I want y'all to look what a fish. That is a huge crappie right there, folks. Alright, folks, I had to come back up to the truck to show y'all what a fish. Now, I want y'all to look. That fish right there, I'm going to say is 17 inches long. That is a huge crappie. That's one of the biggest that I've caught in a long time. Y'all excuse the noise. I didn't bring a tripod with me, so I had to come back to the truck. But you can see he eat that bait right there. That's a good little bait. And the color, coincidentally, is right. But what we're going to do is go ahead and release this fish. I'm going to say this fish is probably 2 pounds, 4 ounces. That's what I'm going to say. It's a good, it's a doggone good fish. It's a slab, folks. Okay. That's the best I can do. Let's let him go. It kind of tickles me when I hear this. A lot of people talk about, oh, you better have a big old hook if you're going to hold them big crappie. That's just false. Folks, this size 6 hook right here in this jig head will hold any crappie out here, the biggest one out here. Okay, now I'm telling y'all the truth. What lands the crappie is by having a soft rod. Y'all excuse me. A rod that's forgiving, that's limber on the tip. Once that fish is hooked, it is hard for one to come off of a limber rod. And that's just a fact. So you don't need a great old big hook. Matter of fact, that will hinder the action of your jig by having too big of a hook. And I'm just telling the truth, folks. You can overdo that. The hook size, I like to have the hook in proportion to the size of the jig that I'm using. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If you'll look right here, this hook is just right for this size jig. It's not too big, it's not too small. That's what I'm talking about. I've used this down to size 14 hooks and caught pretty doggone good crappie. Little bitty hooks. What holds the fish and keeps them from coming off is a limber rod, one that's forgiving, like this jig pole right here. Now this technique right here is second to none. But what's important, another thing that's real important, is getting your colors down pat. Now white is a fantastic color. when it comes to stained water and even muddy water. It glows. It has a bright hue, which I've mentioned before. That's perfect for crappie. I mean, they can see it. They ain't no doubt. It just shines. Great color. White and chartreuse is a fantastic color. And gold. There's one right there. There's another crappie. Good one. Gold is a good color too. This is a big one right here, folks. Another big crappie. Look at that fish fighting. This is another big old crappie. Let me get right here where we can fight him. Golly. Oh, this is a mule. That's 3 big old crappie. Huge crappie I've caught right here in, 10 minutes? I may have been here 10 minutes. Okay, so let's get back over here and see if we can land him. Look here, what a big old crappie. Golly. Man, oh man, oh man. Ain't this something? It's a blessing to be out here. Y'all excuse all the movement, but I'm having to right here. And I have to be careful. That rock is slick as owl poop. And I don't want to go swimming in this cold, cold water. Golly, what a crappie. Y'all seeing that? My. Boy, boy, boy. All 3 of these fish has been just huge. I'm talking about. Folks, I am having a blast. I want y'all to look what a fish. That fish right there is probably 16 inches long. These are huge crappie. And that jig just fell out. But this one's got a hit. Look at that little bit of gold there on his cheek. Ain't that pretty? That is a beautiful, beautiful crappie. Now right here, y'all see that slit? He jumped my line while I was fighting him. Moving his tail like that in my line could have slit in his tail. So that's what that is. Let's let this fish go. Beautiful, beautiful big slab. This is, let me mention this. Let me mention this, folks. This is a very effective technique. Very effective for big crappie. All right, let's let him go. That's the best we can do there. These fish are extremely active. And the reason is kind of this front coming in. That's part of it. Y'all excuse me. Rock climbing ain't as easy to me as it used to be. However, it's worth it. Let's see if we can catch another one right here. That could be another bite right there. Golly bum. I can't believe this. No sooner than I said that, I am hooked up again. This is something else. Y'all excuse me. A lot of darting going on right here. Look here, what a fish. Another slab. And I mean a good one too. Golly, and every one of these are males. Every one of these crappie are males. Okay, let's get right here. This is a big fish. Folks, this is another great old big fish. Come here, boy, come here. I don't like to lift them like that. Okay, that fish right there, I'm not going to show him to y'all, but he's probably probably 15 inches long. We'll just get him back. Now you can see he didn't jump my line, so his tail's in good shape. But if they ever jump your line, what they do is they turn away from you, and that line is right behind their tail, and they got the power in that tail to swish it like that, and it'll just cut their tail. But oh, I'm up in the tree now. Okay, let's get this pole down right here, and then we'll go ahead and release this fish. Golly, this is something else. 4 huge crappie. I have to be careful with these slick rocks. Okay, look at there. And there it goes. Slip right down through there like that. Okay. God, you never know. And I talk about that a lot. It don't surprise me one darn bit. You gotta go. You can't say, oh, the water's too muddy and we ain't gonna catch no fish, or it's too cold, or it's too hot, or it's... You don't know. There's a lot that we know about fishing, but we don't know as much as what we think. I don't want to go swimming if I can help it. Let's see if we can make another one bite right here. I was just sort of holding it in front of his face. And that's the deal. When you're fishing like this along these rocks, that's the key trick, or one of them. Not only color, but using a jig head that's super light. That way you can hold that offering in front of that fish's face for a long period of time. It is very, very important. Folks, I can't stress how important that is. Oftentimes, even a 1/32 of an ounce, which is very, very light, is actually too heavy for what we're doing right here. I want to keep that little bait, that little offering in front of that fish's face as long as I possibly can. I mean, that's exactly what I'm wanting to do. The longer I can keep it in front of his face, the more of a chance I have on getting him to strike. And that's just the reality of crappie fishing. No matter what depth you're fishing, that right there is it in a nutshell, or part of it. Sometimes I got to make myself move. Folks, I fish oftentimes so slow that I'm repetitively casting, or presenting my bait to the fish. In other words, over and over again. And I've found out through the years that that's just a great way to go about it, because if you run a bait by a fish enough times, meaning a crappie, he's going to get tired of that doggone stuff. He's going to reach out and grab it. Sooner or later, he's going to eat that bait. They're a predatory fish, just like a bass. They can't stand that. Come on, boy. There he is, too. There he is. That's a good one. Off to the races once again. Woo. Man, they pull. I can't tell y'all how these fish are pulling. Putting it on me, I'm talking about. And they will if you'll fish like this, light. And I like to let them fight, folks. I don't like to... Golly, I've seen some people get bit and they'll jerk them up in there, boy, and that old fish don't even know what's going on. He ain't got time for nothing. I like to wear them down. I mean, if this fish comes unbuttoned, he comes unbuttoned. I mean, I don't care. This is another big old crappie. Look here. Folks, these are giant crappie. Hey, this one's peeing. This is the first one. Look at him. Look right here. He was peeing right there. That's the first one. Big old fish. My goodness. Let's get him unbuttoned. Okay. But look at there. What a beautiful, beautiful fish right there. Beautiful. Let's let him go. There's no need for me to show y'all. Put this camera somewhere and show y'all again. These are just all big, giant crappie. Let's run it right back through there again. All right, folks, I'm back. And it's starting to overcast right now. We're fixing to get a lot of rain. So that was a quick trip. And really, I didn't intend on catching. I didn't have any idea I was going to catch crappie that big. Them was some sow cows. But Mama Sue wants to show y'all a corgi dog. And what's her name?
Her name's Annie.
Hold her up here too. Hold her up here for everybody.
Her name is Annie Roisin Helms.
But you have to do the R like that?
Uh-huh.
Okay, all right.
She's Irish.
And she's a corgi, but her little ears don't stand up. Never did stand up, but she's a sweet, say the Roisin.
Roisin.
Okay. All right, so there's Annie Roisin. What?
Helms.
Helms. Okay, that's the name of that dog. Okay, but let's go. I want to say God bless each and every one of y'all. Thank y'all for putting up with my opinions, and thank y'all for watching the channel. God bless each and every one of y'all. Hey, woo, let me put this up right here. Let me put it again, the tree. Hey, man, woo. And remember, go fishing when you can, because it's good for you.